All right. Hello, everyone. This is Hugo from NK Institute. I'm the founder, and I've got with me here Steve Hansen, who's one of the NK practitioners from the United States, who's been training with me for over 18 years. And Steve is a person that's always showing me how to work in more details with my work, and always been able to find different ways of using it. Steve has also further developed parts of NK, because with his own work, he works in a medical clinic with a doctor in San Diego, California, United States, to do with the immune system. So, hello, Steve. How are you?
Great, Hugo. How are you?
Good. So, Steve, can you tell us a little bit about the clinic that you're working in?
Yeah, I work at the Institute for Specialized Medicine here in San Diego, California. And it's an autoimmune clinic. So we work with a lot of long-term sick people who have viruses and bacteria, and basically a lot of sicknesses that usually baffle doctors, but that in this case, it's because they're chronic. If you can find the cause, then our clinic works on it, and I get to do energy kinesiology there and help people from an energetic perspective. While there's a lot of other people at the clinic who work there's a homeopath, and then of course there's Dr. Schickman, who's an MD, and we do infusions, and so it's an approach that it looks at it from a lot of different directions.
Oh, that's very interesting. And with the work you do with kinesiology, which I believe is a combination of the NK formats I've developed and protocols and ones you've expanded on yourself, you've actually been able to have some of the results tested in the blood by Dr. Schickman. Is that correct?
Exactly. In fact, when I first, the reason why Dr. Schickman first hired me there was because we had a common client, so his patient, my client, and that person had just an enormous amount of estrogen in her system, and he'd been working with her for, I think it was a year or two. He'd been working with her for a long time and hadn't been able to get it down, and so he had measured her estrogen before she came in to see me, and I worked on the stress of producing a lot of estrogen. And then just after one session, her estrogen went from 600 to 300. It was cut in half. And so she was, that was pretty neat to him. So he asked me if I'd come to his clinic, and that was 5 years ago.
Oh, that's amazing. And so obviously here we're talking about the coronavirus, and 2 days ago I wrote a protocol, and 2 days ago I taught it for the first time. And then yesterday morning in my time, today's the 30th of March, by the way, just so you can get a time frame for this interview, because everything's moving so quickly in coronavirus world. You sent me some messages about what you've been doing and the results you've been getting, and what to add into the protocol I developed. So can you tell me, you were telling me before about your own experience with the coronavirus?
Sure. So I myself started getting symptoms fairly early from it. And after maybe 3 or 4 days, I was just starting to not feel well and exhibiting, still minor versions. It wasn't hospital level, but I did have symptoms start to form, and I didn't get diagnosed, but I was not feeling great. And so I quickly needed to work on it. So I put together a protocol based on what I already do, because at the clinic, I work on a lot of viruses. I work on a lot of bacteria. It's kind of our main focus. The coronavirus isn't an autoimmune virus, so it's a little bit different, but for the most part, it's the tools that I typically use. So I use, which is like you say, the combination of your work and with my work in there too. And so I put together a protocol and worked on it, and the coronavirus showed showed a lot of stress, and so I worked on that on myself. And I the next day, my housemates were "Well, Steve, what's up?" I mean, because I was just bouncing around the house the next day, and I felt so great. And just from using those existing tools that we both developed, and so that kinesiology can really relieve the stress from the situation going on in the body with the coronavirus.
Yeah. Okay, that's very interesting. And so, so you were writing. You wrote to me. You found a lot of stress on the major histocompatibility complex class 1, which is for people who are not aware, it's a molecule that both natural killer cells and T killer cells recognize when a cell's infected by viruses, and therefore they go and kill the cell. So is that correct?
Exactly. It's like a beacon that the cell sends out, and so that the immune system can come say, okay, you're done, you're infected.
Yeah.
We're going to take you out.
Okay. And so then and also you found some interesting information about the transforming growth factor beta 1 or TGF beta 1 and the symptoms. And this was something that the doctor you work with, is it his theory or something he's found?
Yeah, so from his research, as he's been putting stuff together, my research was, just hands-on experience with kinesiology and working with the MHC class 1 with people and turning it up, or working with the stress of pulling the stress out of its functionality. And so his work, he went in and found the theoretical and practical mechanism for what was actually causing the symptoms of the coronavirus. And so as he put it together, he found that the TGF beta 1, I always think of, like, thank goodness it's Friday, thank goodness it's factor, that it would that apparently it was causing a majority of the symptom. And it looks like that the virus is indirectly just hoisting it up and turning up the levels. Probably, I mean, viruses need to have us propagate them. We need to actually use our growth factors and things like that to make them reproduce. So probably to help us propagate them so that the virus can actually multiply quicker. And so it's actually turning that up so that it can survive better. And that gives us a whole bunch of symptoms.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you use the acupressure formats from the hormone hologram, I guess, where I had them in for TGF beta 1 and on that, right?
Yeah. And so yeah, the hormone class, it was so great. I could just open my hormone book, and there it was, a format for TGF beta 1. And then also the gene formats with the genetic course, because you can just look it up on gene cards, and there it is.
Yeah. And you also mentioned somewhere about toxicity as well, that you're doing some toxicity balancing.
Yeah. Well, with every virus and bacteria, every pathogen that I do, I add in, after I've worked with the immune parts of it, I work with the toxicity parts of it, the stress on removing the toxins. And the coronavirus, this is really important because the toxins just accumulate in the lungs. And once you get so many toxins there accumulating in the lungs, then the lungs have a hard time functioning. I found a lot of stress on mitochondria while I was working with it also. And so that means that, even the functionality is being tested by the toxicity of the virus. So basically viruses have byproducts. Like we have byproducts in our world. When we use products, we have to throw them away, and we have a bathroom for physical byproducts, and viruses have the same thing.
Yeah, that's right. I remember I think in the immune too, I've got all the viral toxin thing there. And so yeah, that's a good tip. So thank you, Steve. That's amazing. So So now you're using the combination of your virus protocol and the coronavirus protocol that I put together. Can you tell us how you're using that? Because you've actually worked with some people that have got confirmed cases.
I've not worked with the people who have confirmed cases. I just worked with people who have the symptoms.
Okay, good. So can you tell us how you're using these protocols?
So, the protocol that I put together, the first step is to do the T killer cells, the active T killer cells, and basically the protocol from Immune 2, which is one thing that's great about that is that that's a class that many kinesiologists can take. You don't have to have a lot of background classes to get to that. And essentially what that does is it instructs the body on this virus, go get it, boy, go. It's basically to instruct the body to find the bad guy and take it out. And like I said, like we were talking about earlier, the major mechanism in that is the MHC class 1, which signals which cells to go after. And so that's the first step, is the T killer cell procedure from Immune 2. And then after that, it's a lot of times I'll check to see if there's any other immune stuff that needs to happen. That's usually pretty major. I will also combine with the MHC class 1, I'll do nutrition C on it, and nutrition C has the epigenetic work to be able to work with genes to see if they're turned off or turned on or not. And so throwing that in there with the MHC class 1 is really nice, because that'll relieve any stress at the epigenetic level. And so I'll in the middle of the T killer cell procedure, I'll do the nutrition C, the epigenetic procedure. And then after that is I do the genetics, because viruses get into our DNA and RNA and masquerade as ourselves. And so you can use the genetics and find out where it is to and then relieves the stress on kicking the virus out of our genes. And so that's what I do next, and that's from the flowchart from nutrition B. And then after that, I do the toxins, and the toxins is my favorite toxin work that you've done, Hugo, is the advanced physiology. That is just amazing. That'll handle just about anything.
Oh, okay.
And so
yeah.
I like using the what is it? Pathway number 1 and 2 of the advanced physiology. So yeah, that really takes care of the toxins. And so and then emotions. Emotions are really important on any kind of pathogen. The pathogens really get linked to emotions. They'll kind of carry these emotions. And the coronavirus is all about the group fear. I mean, it's amazing because everyone is so freaked out by it. Everyone is carrying so much fear about this virus. And that's exactly the emotion that the coronavirus kind of thrives on. And so you have to clear that emotion that goes with it. And it's root chakra. I keep doing root chakra for all that. And so it's a lot of this is just helping the person know that they're safe, and maybe even going back to an experience that made it so that they weren't safe, and processing that issue, but introducing safety, and then the person can process the virus without, and they can get rid of it physically. And it's interesting because I don't actually see a lot of the symptoms go down until we hit the emotions. When we hit the emotions, then suddenly a lot of the symptoms start to dissipate.
Awesome. And then, so that's the virus protocol that you've put together, and so that we could do that in a one-day class.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, and so we can any kinesiologists out there interested to do Steve's one-day class, contact your local NK Institute, or NK Institute sponsor. In the United States, it's Empower Life, and in Hong Kong, it's Kinesiology Asia. In Australia, it's NK Institute. Austria, NK Institute Austria, Germany, the IAK, etc., and also in Russia and Ukraine and Ireland and England there, and Spain there are institutes as well. So and Netherlands as well. So you just contact your local institute for the organisation of that. And then, so after that, then you've used the coronavirus protocol that I put together. How have you been using that?
So the first thing, as soon as that book came in the mail, I ripped it open and looked for, especially the deeper formats, because of the coronaviruses, as you've taught everyone, are a group of viruses. And so the one that causes COVID-19 is actually, that it's its own thing. It's a little different from the other ones. So I wanted to make sure that the coronavirus stress that I was testing on other people was actually the same virus that was causing COVID-19. Of course, I'm not diagnosing COVID-19, but I can see if there's stress on that individual virus. And so that was very helpful just to have that. And then also the protocol is so great because it goes through just individual areas of where the symptoms are. And going through those individual areas, you're going to pull out more stress than you are just by doing it on a body level. So a lot of times I'll use your protocol as the second session that I'll do on someone, because then we can make sure that it's not hiding anywhere and causing any more respiratory distress, because viruses love to hide. And I mean, just like emotions like to hide, because like I say, there is a certain similarity between pathogens and emotions. And so your protocol really goes into the nuts and bolts and allows me to find the sticky things, the things that may not have resolved in the first session.
Awesome, Steve. So I'm so grateful that you've taken time to talk to us, and in this time as the world is in crisis, it's time for everyone to let go of their ego and everything like that. And my goal is that we can just support kinesiologists around the world to support the clients, because everyone's really stressed out, and I'm here in a 2-week self-isolation. I'm not allowed out of my house because I got back from overseas, which ends on Friday, but today here's Monday morning, so I've still got another 5 days of this isolation. But I'm quite happy here, and I'm lucky enough that people can bring me some food and all that. But I do appreciate your time, Steve, and it's just been so interesting to hear what you've been doing, and that you've worked with people with their with the coronavirus-like symptoms. And just tell me how have they progressed through the balancing, like through the symptoms and everything like this? How has been the progression of their pathophysiology through the process you're working with them?
Well, that's been a really interesting part of it, because I've noticed the symptoms tend to come on fairly slowly. It's not true with everyone. There are some people that just have a very strong weakness to it, but a lot of people, in fact, go weeks without symptoms, and then the symptoms just kind of gradually crescendo and build. And doing the protocol that we talked about before on them, I've seen the fever dissipate in just under 4 hours. And then the rest of the symptoms dissipate in about 3 days. And so and then the person's no longer communicable after that time, because they have pushed the virus through their body. And so it's pretty amazing though. When I'm working on a person, the whole room gets hot. I mean, just like it goes up like 5 degrees. It's amazing. And like I said, I've worked on a lot of viruses and bacteria, but most of the especially the autoimmune ones that I work on actually make everything cold. But the corona goes the exact opposite. And I've actually never seen a virus or anything that raises the temperature that regularly. I mean, every single person they'll get a fever right there on the table, and the whole room goes up in temperature, and I feel hot, and then by the end of the session it goes down. And especially when I added in the TGF beta 1, that immediately dropped the temperature back to normal, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. So that was with the format for TGF beta 1. So.
Yeah, exactly. The format for it.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's amazing. And, you know, good work, Steve. And I'm just really admire the way that you found yourself there. And Dr. Schickman, I've never met him. One day, maybe I'll come to San Diego to meet him, because I just admire his vision and care. And obviously what he cares about is his client, his patients, and that they get better, and that you're just doing amazing work there. And being able to share this to the broader kinesiology community is very important. And now it's time we need to get this out. So thank you very much, Steve.
You're sure welcome, Hugo. I hope you have a good grocery delivery there.
Yeah. Well, I think Tuesday's my next delivery, but you know, I got the important things. Like I made sure I got a case of beer and a bottle of vodka. But so there we go. And food. Okay. Thanks, Steve.
You're sure welcome. Have a great one, Hugo.